Now joining me is the Permanent Secretary, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador James Mugume. Welcome to NTV tonight.
Thank you.
Ambassador, there's been obviously a lot of talk between us going to South Korea and North Korea, and many people seem to say, who are we playing with? Are we only saying we're using different countries when we need something? What is the explanation for us, for lack of a better word, putting North Korea on the side, like some voices are saying?
Actually, we were surprised when some media houses ran a story that we've broken up diplomatic relations in North Korea.
Yes.
The issue of North Korea is not related to South Korea and the visit of the president. What the president said and what Honorable Kutesa explained on a question about North Korea related to UN Security Council resolution of March 2016, which, because of the nuclear program, the Security Council had imposed sanctions and tightened and imposed on all countries not to cooperate in order to put pressure on North Korea in security, police, and security-related areas because of its nuclear program. Now, that nuclear program is against the Non-Proliferation Treaty. And Uganda and other countries are under obligation to implement the resolution of the Security Council. Now, Uganda's foreign policy on issue of nuclear weapons has three key components. One, we want to implement the NPT, that's the Non-Proliferation Nuclear Treaty. Our view is that those countries that have nuclear weapons should dismantle them. Those countries that do not have should not seek to build them. But all countries should have access to nuclear technology for peaceful purposes, for example, energy, medical purposes.
But Ambassador, if I can interrupt you, North Korea was recently testing a missile.
That's the point.
But you see, they're still training our police. What's the position?
What
what's
the
our
minister
position
was saying,
clearly?
the position, because Uganda and other countries, we have to implement that resolution, what you unanimous in the Security Council. He explained that we would disengage in the areas to do with defense and police training. Disengage, in other words, suspend, because of the Security Council resolution. But we are not breaking off diplomatic relations.
So have we suspended our relations with North Korea as far as training our police or even equipping our police is concerned?
Yes, because that's what the Security Council is saying. We have to suspend. So we are now involved as all government agencies, and what the president said and the minister was saying, that we will disengage, in other words, implement the reason because of the sanctions regime relating to security and police cooperation. But we are not breaking off diplomatic relations, and South Korean embassy will remain. We'll cooperate in other areas.
There's a report that, well, some voices also saying that South Korea is going to take over now the training of our police. Is this true?
Now, it's just by coincidence that it happened that the question came up when President Park Geun-hye was visiting. But this was decided way back in March, April. So we were implementing that. Now, South Korea, you may wish to know, as the president of South Korea said, that Uganda was the first country in Africa to establish diplomatic relations with South Korea. The President Museveni was the first president, African president, to meet President Park when she was sworn in 2013.
Yeah.
And she made the point that after President Museveni is swearing in, just on the 12th of March, he has been the first non-African president to pay a state visit to Uganda. So this was something very different. Yes, we signed a number of MOUs, including the area of defense. But this had nothing to do with North Korea, because as a country, we are non-aligned. We have friends and and we treat all friends of ours. We have diplomatic relations. But for North Korea, it was a different matter related to Security Council resolution.
We seem to be going to the east now. We are going to South Korea. We are tomorrow the president of Turkey arrives, then later Israel. Is this something that is probably in, for lack of a better, defiance of the working out, for example, of the diplomats and the attitude that most people in government have towards the West, and most African leaders have towards the West? Say the West is a bully, for lack of a better word.
Let me just clarify about the West working out. At the swearing in, the US delegation and the EU, after we had consulted with them and we had agreed on how they should handle it because of their protest. At the end, they were sat behind and then walked out quietly. That's why you don't have a picture of it. Now, the British High Commissioner, the French ambassador, they stayed behind. So it's not that it was a wholesale Western walkout. Second, on the question of are we moving east? No, you know, we are a non-aligned country. We are not moving east, we are rebalancing. For example, if you want to build a standard gauge railway now, who has money? It's the Chinese who have got these resources. I was in London about 2013, and the exchequer was asked why he had gone to China to get money for the next generation of power generation. And he answered, he said, that's where the money is. When you're borrowing money, it's not a question of who is your friend and who is not.
You need to go to who can provide the
money. Can provide the funding. So
right.
This is now the realistic situation, that the Chinese economy has been growing at a tremendous pace. It's now the biggest economy. And naturally, they have got the highest level of resources available for development. So it's not that we are moving east. We're just in interest of Uganda, and we're looking for where we can get the resources on the conditions that are favorable to us.
Clarify for me, and for the sake of our viewers, disengagement, diplomatic ties, severe diplomatic ties. What happens now? Does North Korea then pack its bags? Do we close their embassy? What next?
No, and this is the point I was making. And this is what the point Honorable Kutesa made. The disengagement is regarding those areas of cooperation of defense and police.
What else do we work with as far as North Korea is concerned? What do we share?
There could be trade. There could be issues of regional peace and security.
Are those in place, or there could be? They have not yet, but they may happen. Are they happening now?
Yes, because we all countries,
right,
we have relations covering many areas. When you break off diplomatic relations, that means you cease to exist. It even would include expelling
the diplomats.
Right. Now, when there are sanctioned regimes, it doesn't mean that you are breaking diplomatic relations. Many people, for example, don't know that the Western countries have embassies in Harare and Sudan.
Yeah.
They think they broke off diplomat. No, they didn't. So for them, they relate, say, on issues of ICC.
Right.
And this is normal conduct of international relations. So we are not closing the North Korean embassy, and we are only relating to the issue of Security Council resolution relating to police and military cooperation.
Ambassador James Mugume, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I hope I have been helped you.
Yes, you have. And for any comments, of course, you can go to our Twitter at NTV Uganda, #NTV News, and talk to us more about that. What do you think about our cooperation with South Korea?